Welcome to the Believe in the Land show. My name is Andy Billman. Let's take a look back at the week that was in Cleveland sports. A very odd, quiet October week. No Guardians baseball, as we all know. We finished out the Francona era this week with his official stepping down as of Tuesday. The Browns had a bye week, which we're going to lead off with them. And then the Cavaliers opened up camp. So there's some news there. We're going to get to the Jarrett Allen injury. What does that mean? Some of the things that I heard throughout the week of press conferences, and media day for the Cavs, et cetera, et cetera. The Buckeyes did have a victory. They're the one team in play this week. They beat Maryland, did what they're supposed to do there. Kind of a sleepy start for the Buckeyes, but they ended up winning the game comfortably, 20 points. So we'll get to them at the very end of the show. But let's start off with our Browns on the bye week. So what to think? Kind of a loaded question, isn't it? What to really think of these guys is, I was watching today the Steelers-Ravens game, and I was really, again, blown away by the Steelers, who clearly don't have a good offense. Steelers' offense is anemic. Very poor at times. Can't even get yards. Like very, very bedrock type things where they just can't get first down yardage to get second down and 4. I mean, they're always in long situations, and they just don't seem to have a very good rhythm or flow at times in offense. Yet I saw a team today make plays when they had to. Their defense carried them to victory, and they also got some help here and there from the Ravens, but it's because of the forced pressure that they put, allowing their defense to carry the day, knowing that their offense was not going to be able to yield such points and yards. And it made me reflect as a Browns fan saying, why can't the Browns do that? The Browns have a similar defense. I don't know if it's as good as the Steelers at times, meaning the Browns have a very, very good defense. They do not cause turnovers as much as the Steelers do and or lift the opponent. But the Steelers do. The Steelers know how to make winning plays on defense, stripping the ball, getting in front of the Ravens, putting them in positions where they put pressure consistently on their opponent. The Browns just don't seem to have a good grasp of the game at times, and that's where I'm going to lead off. Like, it's 2-2. The Browns have a very good defense. Their offense is in question. Their best players out for the season with injury, Nick Chubb. Their second best player, Myles Garrett's having a very good year. And their quarterback has a shoulder injury, which is very bizarre. But watching a team like the Steelers win the way they did today because they were incapable of moving the ball, forget putting up points, they were not productive offense. I got to be truthful. I don't know if the Browns can win that way. And that gets me into my first point here as we're in the bye week. Tomlin can do that. The Steelers seem to know how to play the game within the game, meaning that they have a good grasp of, these are situations in game that we're up against. So we're going to do things to capitalize on our best abilities here in this game, which is putting pressure on Lamar Jackson, maybe causing a fumble here and there, maybe causing a mistake here and there, especially and we're just going to capitalize on that, which they did. The Browns, I don't think was Stefanski or coached that way. The Steelers, truthfully, don't have as many talented players as the Browns do, but they're better coached. They're just better equipped to win games mentally. The Browns' offense is not very good at times, and they have it's clunky. It's not refined. It just has a hard time getting going, and this is not year, one of this was Stefanski with a new quarterback. I mean, kind of felt this way with the 3.5 years now, Stefanski on his 4th year. I just don't know Stefanski's the guy. In fact, I know he's not. Stefanski is not a good coach. He's not. He's just not a good coach. He's a nice guy. He has good offensive ideas, but he's just not a good coach. Last Sunday, it got exposed. Stefanski has moments where he can glorify a victory, meaning he can have his offense running on all cylinders. He can have his team actually put up analytical pinball type numbers. He really can. I mean, Stefanski's grooving with his play call, and the offense is humming. I mean, the sky's the limit. It can really ping pong around a pinball board. It can really get some high points. But outside of that's about Stefanski's strength. Um, he does not make in-game adjustments well. He does not handle situations well when the offense can't drive the game. Again, you watch the Steelers today over the Ravens. Ravens are clearly a better team. But the Steelers allowed their best players and their best side of the ball dictate the game. And because of that, they were able to win. Right now, the Browns at times need, and I'd say most times, need to let the defense dictate the day, not the offensive play calling. And the Browns are still fighting that internally. And they don't make in-game adjustments. I mean, Stefanski just doesn't do it. I think we need to start figuring out what I just don't. They're going to have to overcome Stefanski to win this year. Coming to that conclusion after that game today, I could never see Stefanski lead a team like the Steelers did today. Just could never see it. Could never see a situation where they would be able to just will their way with defense and fumbles and special plays that were not downfield or, specific offensive routes. The Browns just aren't there mentally. They just aren't. The Browns can't do what I'm seeing the Steelers do for victories. It's just not in their MO. It's just not. And this NFL season, it's becoming more the MO of what I'm seeing for the Steelers. In past years, it's been offense and analytics, and that's been driving the sport with these 40-point games we saw 2 or 3 years ago. This season so far, I mean, outside of the Dolphins game with the Broncos, and there's been probably some other examples that I'm not remembering, you're not really seeing those pinball wizard analytic numbers. And the Browns do have a very good defense. They don't turn over the ball a lot, but they do have a very good defense. And that's what needs to be driving this team. And it just doesn't feel that way when you're watching the Browns play. And again, I just marvel what the Steelers did in that artwork they did today of really just putting themselves in position to win where they really had no reason to be in that game. And I just sat to myself and said, I don't think Stefanski could ever do that. He's not the right coach for this team. He's not a good coach. He's just not. He's a good offensive mind. He's a good person. He's a nice guy. He has a good sense of how to run within the Berea organization, meaning he keeps things calm. He's not dramatic. He's very polite, smart. Doesn't mean he's a good coach. And I think it's time to admit, like we all do, like we have faults. The Browns' biggest fault here is they're not being led by the right coach. There's injuries and big ones. The Nick Chubb injury is a big injury. Sean Watson's shoulders is an injury now that is clearly going to make an impact on the season. In particular, because there's no more Josh Dobbs, so they have to find ways to win games with DTR if Deshaun's not there, and that's scary. Not easy to think about. Well, that to be said, though, when you watch what we're watching here from the Browns, when it comes to football acumen, comes to, again, what I saw today from the Steelers, Browns just don't have that, and it's very frustrating as a fan because the Browns have a type of defense where they could win that way. Browns have a type of defense where they could probably carry a team throughout the season and allow its offense to figure some things out. The Browns just don't seem to be interested in that. They seem to be more interested in we're gonna call I'll call it a flamboyant offensive game rather than just trying to figure out wins and losses. And I think we're kind of there as fans. It's just not the right fit. He's not a good coach. He's not. Kevin Stefanski's not a good coach. He's just not. He's not the right fit for this team right now. This team needs to be thinking more of what I saw today from Tomlin. And boy, it's amazing that Pittsburgh wants to run that guy out of town. Then you want to talk about how poorly the offensive is run by Matt Canada? I get it. That's for a different podcast. Nor do I care. And I hate the Steelers. So it's great to see them suffer on offense. But it's very frustrating to watch a very good coach in Tomlin being able to sneak victories like they did today and realizing to yourself as you sit in the chair, it's like, gosh, I don't know if the Browns could ever do something like that. It's very frustrating. Very frustrating. And it's not a good feeling as a fan. And that's why I'm coming to this conclusion. He's not a good coach. I don't know how the Browns are going to have to win above Stefanski. I really do. I think the Browns are going to have to win despite Stefanski. That's not easy. In fact, it's very hard. Possible, though. This team's talented enough, and I've seen it done before in sports. But Stefanski's either going to have to change gears big time mentally, which I haven't seen any proof that he will, or they're going to have to fight above the fight because they can win with their defense the way I saw the Steelers win today. And I think over time they can start to create more turnovers. I think they can create more things to get victories outside of just, I don't know what that slop was we talked about last week with the Ravens, which we won't relive. That's how we're going to start off the segment, and that's what I realized in the bye week. Not a good coach. Not the right fit for this team right now. And that's not a good feeling as they head into a bye week going to the Niners next week. It's not a good feeling. There is hope, though, because the team is talented. They have very talented players, and you have to give a chance to Stefanski. Maybe Stefanski can figure this out. Maybe he can watch some of the things I saw today and say, gosh, maybe we need to start doing that here in Cleveland. Maybe. Maybe some pressure comes down from others. Maybe, Bria, maybe. Doubtful, but maybe. That's what I'm hoping for. Because, again, that today is how the Browns can win. They can win that way. Or frankly, mentally, I don't know if they'd ever do that. And that's what's very frustrating as we get into this bye. Let's get back into what happened last week for the Browns when we come back. Welcome back to the Believe in the Land show. My name is Andy Billman. If you love thoughtful, good Browns content, go to believeintheland.com. Also, check out our YouTube page at Believe in the Land. Some of you might be watching right now. Hello. Happy Sunday. Also, check out at Official Cleveland Sports. We are on after every Browns, Buckeyes football, Cavs basketball very soon, starting up. Less than 20 days now. And the Guardians next spring. Oh, our Guardians. Check us out at Official Cleveland Sports on Instagram. And again, check out believeintheland.com. Okay, Browns. So this week was supposed to be a bye week, which usually for most teams is time to take a nap. But the Browns could not avoid some drama. So there was drama all week with the Browns. What was going on? Deshaun Watson's shoulder. So Stefanski came back out and Monday said, hey, not up to me. Not up to me. Doctors cleared him. Said he was ready to go play. So that started off the week. Obviously, Deshaun Watson has not spoken. It's very curious that Stefanski put it all on Deshaun because as an outside neutral observer who loves the Browns, when is it ever just one person's decision at any kind of NFL level? It normally is never one person's decision, one player's decision. Very, very rare. It happens. Don't get me wrong, but in this kind of situation, that is not usually the norm. Usually there's a lot of thought and a lot of, huddling that goes around on what to do. So I found that to be curious. And then we had Andrew Berry's midweek press conference, which kind of told the story that I was expecting all along. Andrew Berry came out and said, "Hey, we thought he was going to play on Friday. Deshaun Watson on Friday said so as much, kind of coming out of the story the Friday before the Sunday game with the Ravens. We all thought he was playing. That made sense to me. Check box one. Check box on Sunday. Hey, we all gathered, even though he was clinically cleared. It was clearly something going on, as Andrew Berry said. And we all concluded, he just didn't put on Deshaun. He said we all concluded that he wasn't going to be able to play on Sunday against the Ravens. That is far different from what Stefanski said, basically going with, hey, look, we tried, but he couldn't go. It is up to him. Those are two very differentiating stories. I tend to believe Andrew Berry. That makes sense to me on that kind of level. Where, yes, I think they all assumed he was going to play on Friday. Check. Sunday, it didn't get better. He couldn't make the throws they needed to make in the game. So they all concluded, not just Deshaun, like, hey, this isn't the smart thing to do. We're going to sit you down. That's not what Stefanski said. Stefanski basically went into more of a, it was on Deshaun, not me. So that's odd. That puts some uncomfortability on the situation for sure. And I think what Andrew Berry said makes, again, a ton more sense. Of course, it wasn't just Deshaun's call. Of course, as he said, we could all observe it. Just wasn't something that like, oh, my shoulder hurts. No, I mean, as he said, like they all concluded he couldn't play. That makes sense. And then he gave even before he went into his explanation of Deshaun, he gave a State of the Union. And usually Andrew Berry's State of the Union of where the Browns are at during the bye week is pretty brief. It's maybe like, minute and a half, two. It's pretty long. And he said glowing remarks about how he's happy with Jim Schwartz and how he thinks Bubba Ventrone's doing a nice job. And he went through some other points throughout the season and didn't really say much about Stefanski. Kind of kept to himself quiet. Hearing enough of these press conferences, that is usually not the norm. If you're usually going to talk about the assistant coaches, at some point you're going to give a complimentary, like, hey, but our coach is doing this or doing that. Not the case with said Berry. Berry, again, praising Jim Schwartz, really giving him high remarks, and he deserves it. Jim Schwartz has done a good job. Then we go to Bubba Ventrone. He said he did a nice job. I concur with that. And Stefanski, I don't really have much to say. I love the show by saying I don't think Kevin Stefanski should be the coach. I don't think he's a good coach. I don't think he's going to do well as us as a coach here in Cleveland. Andrew Berry indirectly saying the same thing. Hey, I love Schwartz. Defense is great. But I've been trying to do a nice job as Stefanski. And that goes to what we saw on Sunday. The offense didn't look good. That goes on Stefanski. And it's not going well for Stefanski right now. This is we talk about the bye week for the players, bye week for the coach. Coach has got to start figuring stuff out. And there's definitely quietly to me some sort of a disagreement or riff that Andrew Berry did very politely through his press conference. But that's a rip. Basically saying, hey, look, Jim Schwartz, Bob Ventrone, all right. Stefanski, crickets. I mean, that's weird. That's weird. Very weird. Very odd. And that's what I got from the press conference. He explained also throughout to give you some other drabs, like there's not going to be another backup quarterback. There's not going to be another quarterback brought in to back up Deshaun. at this time, there's no seeming to be advancement of running backs, which I find curious. Saying the Browns do need a running back. Get that in a second. And he's seeing his team hopefully develop. Basically, the surmise I got, and they're not really guaranteeing much outside of that. I think that's prudent, meaning like he doesn't want to commit to anything, and nor should you at a press conference when there's nothing in place. But again, I thought that press conference deal at the top was the top moment. That does say a lot. Explaining the Deshaun injury and then giving heap and praise to assistants, but not your said head coach. Kevin Stefanski is not a good coach. He's not having a good season, and he's not a good fit for this team right now. It's a problem. Browns are going to have to play above that. That's asking a lot. To do that, they need their quarterback back. Deshaun Watson's is a big key to this season now. We all kind of knew that after Chubb, but it got defined after that loss. We have not heard from Watson outside of his normal podcasting, but he's not spoken about his injury, about where he's at. Hopefully we get some sort of update, which we will this week. But that injury looming story carries over into another week now. Not good. Not good at all. That lingering story of what's going on with his injured shoulder just moseys on. That would have been smart for Deshaun to actually speak, but he didn't. I knew he wasn't going to do so, nor is he. And here we are. Wondering and twiddling our thumbs, saying, oh gosh, hopefully he plays, hopefully he plays, hopefully he plays, and don't really have any kind of response or kind of feeling right now which way it's going to go. And that's the bye. I mean, again, and this is a bye week where it's supposed to be getting rest, and truly mentally, I don't know where that's at for this club. Big week for Stefanski next week, and you're playing the Niners too. Not easy. Not easy. Not easy. But okay, 4 games in. Let's take back. Let's forget what I just said and forget that the culture is back again. It is. Before we move on, this culture of loserville negativity that I thought got broken actually against the Titans for a little bit. The storm clouds are back. All sorts of thunder and lightning, all sorts of red on the radar. This negative culture, this dramatic, I don't know what it is about this team. They can't get out of their own way. It's always dramatic. Always. There's always some sort of weird fight, and there's always some weird, bizarre storyline that happens. Seems like every year with this club, and except for the COVID year. And here we are again. Last year is obviously what happened to Deshaun Watson off the field. And this season's the Deshaun Watson injury and the coaching decisions that are going on around that Ravens game. And they are bizarre. Very bizarre. And it did not go well for the Browns last week. And for a time when your team needs a bye week, just a chance to catch its breath. Not in Cleveland, Ohio, baby. Not with the Browns, in the NFL. The D is not for defense, and they have a great defense. The D right now is for drama. The Browns just have so much drama. Every year, I thought maybe we'd be able to get out of it, but it's clearly here again. And it's going to be very challenging for this club to get to the playoffs without Nick Chubb. That's the other big conclusion I got. They have the defense. Defense is there. They have to keep Deshaun Watson healthy. They need to allow their defense to dictate wins and losses now, not the offense. That's why I'm hoping Stefanski takes that into consideration. Again, watching what I saw today from the Steelers, they need to play like that. That's the kind of stuff we need from this team. Really do. Offensively, offensive line has got some concerns. Jed Wills is not having a good start to the season. I don't know what happened, but Wyatt Teller had a terrible game last week, sorry. And Teller's usually very good, didn't play well. Posick is not having a good start to the season. and you have a rookie right tackle. Offensive line's not, it's not a beacon of strength right now. It's actually now a concern. It's now something that we have to starting to talk forward about. Can the offensive line hold up week to week? It's usually never a storyline we have to talk about in this club. I think it is going forward. How is the offensive line going to match up? It's not a given anymore. That's just going to be okay. There's again, I think Wyatt Teller will figure itself out. It's only one game. It's fine. But Posick, I think something to circle, and I definitely think Jed Wills is something to circle. Teller, fine. Batonio, fine. Actually, I think DeJuan Jones is fine. But your left tackle and your center's got some problems. And they're just not run blocking well. Pass blocking's okay, good, but their offensive line's not really having a cohesive, good start to the season. By the way, you can't cover up sometimes bad run blocking with Nick Chubb because he's injured. He's out for the year. So I think that's being exacerbated. And that's to my other point here. Jerome Ford is a good number 2 running back. He is not a lead back. The Browns don't have a lead back right now. And it's costing them running yards. And their offensive line's not helping. It's got to be a big focus in this bye week. What are they going to do with this running game? And it's a growing theme throughout the league. The Browns aren't the only ones being challenged by this. There's multiple teams who aren't running the ball as smoothly as they thought they were going to be at one point during the season. So the Browns have to figure out a way because they have the defense. They have a way to get into the win column. They have to figure out a way. How do they run the ball just to get this game into the defensive hands and field position? Not with fancy loop-de-loop passes and jet sweeps. Ugh. Deshaun Watson being healthy is critical. Said that again, but I want to mention one more time. It is really critical. The defense just needs to keep doing what it's doing. Making more turnovers is the only note. Defense is there. It's very solid. I don't know what to think about last week. I would throw that away. I still think it's very, very good defense. The secondary is good. Defense line's so much improved, and the linebackers are having a good start to the season. Defense is there. Special teams, they're having a hard time returning kicks and returning punts, but the field goal kicking has been Cade York who. I mean, thank God that's gone. So the special teams has kind of settled down somewhat, not all the way. But that's why I think Barry's got a good assessment of his team. Special teams right now is nice. It's doing a nice job. Defense, though, is there. But right now the storylines in football are more defensive rather than offensive. So the Browns aren't unique there. Their defenses are also shining right now. Offenses aren't having these video type numbers, pinball type numbers, I call it. You're not really seeing that this year in the league. And that's where the Browns are at. Here's some rays of hope, though. Schedule gets a lot easier after the Niners. You're going to start playing teams that even though they have winning records, they're not as good as the Browns. The Texans, the Bears, bad teams, Broncos, Colts. These are all winnable games. Very winnable games. Even the game against LA on the road, winnable game. Cardinals, winnable game. I mean, that's an easy 6 in my opinion. You win 5 out of 6 of those, 7 wins. You grind out a victory against the Niners, or hopefully you win 2 more division games, maybe 3. You're at 10 wins, and I think 10 wins is about the number. Make the wild card. We'll see if they can win the division, but again, that's the positive. Like, you're going to gobble up some wins, and this team does have the talent. But I'm going to lead off to what I said at the start of the show. I don't think this is the right coach. And that really worries me. And Andrew Berry, I think I'm reading into his comments. I think kind of said the same thing I'm saying. Boy, I like the defense. Special teams are doing a nice job. Boy, offense is vomiting off all times. And it really is. You get the Titans game where you just glow, but it's led by really the passing game. And then you get games like the Ravens where everybody's just running into each other. Game plan can't adjust. Kevin Stefanski has to start making adjustments in the season. Hopefully he does. Hopefully I come in here and say, boy, I was wrong. He did a great job adjusting. But after 4 years of Stefanski, I think I got a good read on him, and I just don't think it's the right fit. Browns and Niners next week will be all over it. That's your Browns. Coming back, Buckeyes. Welcome back to the Believe in the Land show. My name is Andy Billman. Check us out at Official Cleveland Sports. We're on after every Buckeyes game. We're there after the Maryland game. Soon as the gun sounds, the horn, whatever they do now in football. I don't even know they sound guns anymore. But anyways, go to at Official Cleveland Sports. We're breaking down every game. Every game. You like coverage after every Cavs game? We're there. You like coverage after every Browns game? Probably sometimes you don't. But even if when you don't, you do. You come on, check it out. At Official Cleveland Sports on Instagram. That's at Official Cleveland Sports. IG. BelieveInTheLand.com for all your great Cleveland coverage. City as well. Todd Hall does a great job of covering the city. And I do the sports along with Tony Camino. Check it out. BelieveInTheLand.com. You like good coverage of the teams? Better check it out. Believe in the Land also on YouTube. All right, Buckeyes. Buckeyes came out kind of sleepy, flat as a board. Didn't seem to have any zip. Start off strangely with a fourth down. I know some people are calling it a snap. Whatever you want to call it. They snapped the ball. It didn't go to the punter. It went to the running back, and he got stopped. Maryland scored 4 plays later, 7-0, and felt like it was 10-0 pretty quickly. The Buckeyes then got in control, and they scored 37 of the last 44 points, and they won 37-17. McCord had a big day, but the bigger day went to Harrison Jr., and I'll start off with him. Marvin, I think, has a good chance to win the Heisman. Listen to me. I've been saying that a lot. I really do think that young man is, he's, I think, the best player in college football. I really do. He is very, very talented. He's not even healthy. And he's getting 160 plus yards, 8 catches, a touchdown. I mean, he's electric. By far the best wide receiver in college football. By far. Not even comparable. Imagine when he's healthy. So, he went off. Abuka got dinged up. We'll have to see how serious that is. No Henderson in this game. But again, the passing game in the second half really took control of the game. The defense did what it had to do. The Buckeyes defense is clearly far improved. This is not the Buckeyes defense from last year. They did a nice job of really buckling down this game. And again, they're very similar to the Browns. They make some turnovers. Proctor's pick 6 was a huge momentum play in this game. Got the 10-7 when the offense Buckeyes offense was just in complete snoozeville, sleeper mode. For the second half, they woke up, but that pick 6 did the job. They make turnovers, they make stops. The Buckeyes have a very good defense. It's so improved from last year. So improved. Gonna be tested here as they go on, and as the season goes on, we'll have to see if they can keep up to this level. But very good start. Very good start. 4 games in. Now 5 games in. So that's your circumference. Do you want to get into like different plays in this game? Sure. Again, the Proctor play really settled it out. Again, once the offense got going and once Harrison Jr. started running over the field, you just feel the game kind of suffocating in for Maryland. Maryland's not on the same level as Ohio State, and they just eventually got worn down, which is what big teams do. They wear you down. And, clearly to me, the Buckeyes and the Bulldogs don't have the sexy wins that we saw this weekend from Oklahoma, who had a great win against Texas. Florida State's had great wins against LSU at Clemson. Those are great wins. 2 best teams by far are the Bees, the Bulldogs and the Buckeyes. They are by far the best 2 teams, and they're going to keep that way for a while. And that's all the good news stuff. Hand-wringing, there are 2 areas for the Buckeyes. One is this running game. So Henderson doesn't play, and all of a sudden they can't run the ball. That's goofy. Well, the offensive line had a goofy day. I won't say they were terrible, but they weren't good. They were just okay. They got what they needed to do to get the win. I've been pro not freaking out against this offensive line, but even I, who have been pretty neutral of what I've seen so far, kind of like I opened my eyes a little bit and saw some things that weren't good. The Buckeyes are gonna have to make some improvements on the offensive line going forward. Maryland really got through at points in the first half, and they really slowed down the Buckeyes' running game. In fact, I wouldn't say slow down, sorry, they basically stopped it. They forced the Buckeyes to win. The Buckeyes only had one way to win. That was through throwing in the air, and they did. And they certainly have that's the thing. Buckeyes have the weapons to throw it up. And if McCord plays like he did in the second half, forget it. It doesn't matter if you stop the run or not. You're still going to give up 30 plus points in a game as they did on Saturday. But the Buckeyes running game is a concern without Henderson. With Henderson in there, it seems everything seems to be running fine. But I am starting to go down that road of what's going on in this offensive line. Why aren't they running the ball as well with Henderson? It is fair things to point out. And the other one is third and short situations, which kind of impacts point number one here. The Buckeyes don't do a great job in third and shorts. It's a real conundrum. Again, Buckeyes aren't alone. Seeing a lot of teams this year in college football and frankly in the pros having a hard time getting third and twos, third and ones, fourth and ones, fourth and twos in the first downs. Frankly, teams aren't practicing enough, in my opinion. Also, it's not a given in football. I think sometimes as fans, sometimes even said a guy here, we give us so much as a given. It's not. Buckeyes really do have some troubles there. And then finally, they have sometimes troubles in the red zone. And then you put up more points in the red zone. I think that one will wash away as time goes on. But something to keep your eye on. But the first two are very serious. They have third and shorts in this running game. What the offensive line concerns are something to watch as we go along. That said, again, I thought the Ohio State team came out so flat, and they still won comfortably by the end by 20 points. That's Ohio State football. They are, to me, the second best team in the country. I think the Bulldogs are number one. They're number two. They are right there. And seeing what I saw this week from college football, I think being a Ohio State fan, you should be very satisfied. Ask the Irish how they're feeling. Ask the Miami Hurricanes, who had a deplorable loss against Georgia Tech. Just need to kneel the ball to end the game. They forgot to kneel and fumbled the ball away. Next thing you know, Georgia Tech's winning the game. I mean, gosh, what a terrible loss for Miami. Bad loss for Notre Dame. Bad loss. Bad. Bad. Embarrassing. Freeman's in a little bit of trouble. Texas had a bad loss. Had the lead. Couldn't hold it against Oklahoma. Oklahoma, big moment for that program. Big moment from Venerables. Nice win. A great game. Wonderful game. But that's the thing. Like, this college football season is starting to settle out a little bit. And throughout the season, I didn't know if we had two top teams. I think we do now. And the Buckeyes are one of those top teams. Is Michigan in that circle? Some will say yes. I need to see more from Michigan. I'm not there yet with the Wolverines to say they're in this class. I know they've been Ohio State 2 straight years. And boy, right day. I mean, we can go on for a whole show about that. He's got to win that game this year. It's crucial. That said, I think Ohio State's better. I do. Now they beat him again, then I'm going to eat what I just said. But that's what I'm seeing and thinking so far. The other thing of note this college football season that is very evident is, there's not as many electric, again, pinball, high-scoring 50, 60-point games like we might see some years in college football. Defense is also playing well there too. Ohio State's defense has taken a major step forward. And the nice thing is they get another game. Look, they're going to beat Purdue. They're going to go into Purdue, and they're going to smack them around. They're going to say basketball school, which Purdue is, and then Purdue's going to wipe the floor with Ohio State in the winter. And then they play Penn State, and they play Wisconsin. So, in fairness, Ohio State's going to really get tested these next 2 weeks. But I think they are ready for the test. They need to get Henderson healthy. And hopefully Ibuka's not too banged up, because they need him. It really gives them some big advantages against the Nittany Lions and gives them a big advantage over a team like Wisconsin. And then they get in November. November, the first few games are not count. Maybe Minnesota, maybe, and then they play Michigan in the season. Then they, hopefully Big Ten championship. So the road is there. It has not been glorified. It has not been the most sexiest season so far. But the Buckeyes are really in a good position. And again, they're in that top cut. There's no question. They get another warm up with the Boilermakers. Then they get to the big boys with Penn State, and then on the road against the Badgers. Challenging games ahead, but this team is ready. They just got to figure out why aren't they running the ball more consistently without Henderson? This offensive line. Defense, I think, is there. They just got to keep doing what they're doing.